Hi, thank you for joining me for the video series of Windows 10. We're going to do a little more on the menu, and then we'll get into some of the search features and maybe some of the settings, depending on how much time we have here. So let's go ahead and click on the menu again. And we talked about the tiles last time and expanding this and making it smaller. We also talked about renaming the tiles by clicking on them and renaming. One of the things I don't think I mentioned yet is that you can actually move the whole group. These are group names. So say I want to move the games up higher, I can left click and hold and just drag it up, and it's going to move the whole group up here, so you don't have to keep moving things up. I can move the weather, just drag and drop. And of course, like we said, we can go ahead and move these around. One of the other things too is maybe you don't want these tiles bouncing around all over. You can right click and go ahead and turn live tile off or on. So maybe I don't want to see news popping up all the time, and maybe I don't want to see these games. So I can go ahead and turn the live tiles off. And maybe I'll just leave the weather on there so I can see the weather. So that's a nice little feature, especially the group moving. So get these all organized, and it'll be handy, and get all the programs that you use most of the time. And of course, we also talked about the mostly used programs here. One of the new features in Windows 10 is Cortana. And Cortana is similar to the phones nowadays, like the iPhone has Siri, and the Google also has its version. You can say, "Okay, Google," and talk to the phone. But here on Cortana, it's also on the Windows 10 phones and on Windows 10 devices. You'll see sometimes you might have to right click here and turn on Cortana, but it's here. Mine's already on, and here's the little microphone. So I can click on this, I just click in the box and they'll ask me what I want to do. You can either type, or you can go ahead and click the microphone to start talking. And here's some of the settings if you want to look at the Cortana settings. One of the things, this little circle, if you right click on this circle, you can go up here and go to Cortana, and you can either hide it. You can show the icon view instead of if you want more space on your taskbar here. So now it's just a little icon instead of a box. So if I click on here and then I go ahead and use the microphone. What is the weather like in China?
Right now, it's 19 and clear in Beijing.
So as you can see, it works pretty well with weather in China. I can ask it a lot of different questions. It'll also do scheduling for you if you want to go ahead and ask for an alarm. Wake me up at 8 in the morning tomorrow.
Your 8 a.m. alarm is on.
So there it goes and sets an alarm for me. You can also schedule workshops or whatever you want on your calendar, and it'll implement it for you. Schedule a workshop on January 30th at 2 p.m.
Add workshop to your calendar for Saturday, January 30th at 2 p.m. Sound good?
Yes.
Great.
So as you can see, it just put that on my calendar. It's a pretty handy feature. So let's just check to make sure it did. So we'll go to my calendar. Oh my gosh, there it is. There's my workshop. So that's pretty neat. Let's just close that. And now we'll move on to some more settings. So as I said last time, if you click on this, you get, here's the settings. This brings up a lot of settings. If you really don't like those settings, you can also right click on this start menu and you get some of the old Windows 7 type settings. Here's the programs and features and the power options. So it's a quick way to get right to Device Manager and some of the other settings you might have gone to. There's the control panel, so you can actually go right to the old looking control panel. So that's like the Windows 7 control panel. But we're going to learn a little more about the settings in the Windows 10 area. So this is the Windows 10 settings. And this is what we looked at before. We did a little bit here. What I want to do is a little more personalization, and then we'll get more into the settings of the system. But click on personalization, and a couple things. This is the background after you're in Windows. But they also have the lock screen. The lock screen is before you get to Windows. When you first get that first screen that sometimes you might have to put a password in, that's going to be your lock screen. And I have this Windows Spotlight, which is pretty neat. That will give me different windows or different pictures on that lock screen. And sometimes they'll ask you, you like this type of picture? And I'll say yes, and I get more of those. And of course, you could also pick your own picture. Click on picture, and then you can browse and look in your own picture folder. If you want to get fun facts, tips, and tricks, you leave that on, or you could turn that off. And some other settings on when it times out and things like that. But what I also talked about a little bit is the themes. And these themes, here's some theme settings. I like pretty backgrounds, so this is my sync theme that I talked about last time. But you can also get some online. If you click on the Get More Online link, this brings you to Microsoft, so it's pretty safe to go to Microsoft to get your backgrounds and themes. I wouldn't go searching on the internet just on a browser, because some of those like screensavers and things that you can pick up viruses and spyware from that. But this is safe here because it's on the Microsoft site. And so here's a lot of different backgrounds. So these are themes. So like this one has 21 images of this type of thing, the rural landscapes. You can do reflections, those are really nice. The footpath is really nice. So all you have to do is click download, and it's going to download this theme pack and put it right in there. So let me just minimize this while it's downloading. So it'll be available in here as one of your themes once that downloads, and then you can just pick it. So that's a really neat thing. Of course, here's the screensaver. You can pick a screensaver, photos, or 3D text, just like the old Windows. And then the start. You can turn some of these settings on or off, show more tiles on the start screen. You can also show suggestions in the start. I don't know if I really like that. I think I'll turn that one off. I got a suggestion actually today. But and that's the most used apps that we showed on the menu. And this is used start full screen. If you do that, you'll end up with more of a look like the Windows 8, where all the tiles are all over your screen. So if you really like that, you could do that, but most people don't like that. They like the regular menu where they can click and have all their apps right here. And then we have colors. One other thing too is you might want to look at is back here. You hit that back button. We'll go to System, And this has a lot of different settings. I'll click on System. But one of them, like I talked about, the tiles, sometimes people have clicked on tablet mode by mistake and turned their PC into looking like a tablet. And the problem with that is if it's not a touch screen, it's not going to be very intuitive, because it'll turn it more into like a tablet where you really need to be using the touch screen. So it's great for tablets. But I worked on a computer one time and the guy had it in tablet mode, and when I first saw it, I was like, what's going on with this operating system? But I looked in here and he had it on, and it was a big desktop which didn't need to have tablet mode on. So that's a good thing to know just in case. And apps and features, this is all your programs, and you can see how much room it's taken up. And then this is your display settings, so you can change the text so it's a little bit bigger if you want. You can change the brightness. You can go to advanced display settings, and this, if you have multiple screens, you'll see the other screen here, and you can move them around. You can change some sizing of the text here, and also the resolution. We're using this resolution because it works best for the screen capture I'm using here. So you can also go back to System, and let's go back to the System settings. The power and sleep, I'm not sure if I mentioned too much about that, but you can go here, power and sleep. If your computer's going to sleep too soon, if you keep going to use your computer and it's in sleep, you can change that here. When you have two different settings. One is if it's on battery, then you probably want some pretty quick settings so this doesn't wear out your battery. But if you're plugged in, it says when you're plugged in, turn the screen off. Maybe you don't want it to turn off that quick. So if I'm plugged in, maybe I just want it 20 minutes, then I know I'm away. And you want it to go to sleep. On battery power, you probably want it to go to sleep pretty soon. I have mine to not go to sleep when it's plugged in, because I want to be able to just hit the space bar and get right back to work when I come back. So then you can look at storage, and this will show how much space you have. So if you're worried about running out of space, some people, sometimes they'll have a 1 terabyte hard drive, and they're worried about space and trying to get rid of pictures, but they have plenty of space. As you can see, this is a terabyte drive I have all of my data on, and I have plenty of room. All this gray space is free space. My C drive is where I have my operating system, and that one's a bit full. But that just runs programs. I don't put anything on there. And another good thing is sometimes people, when they first get Windows 10, they're upset because it changed the programs that they normally use. Like when they open a picture, it opens a different app, and same with the sound files. So if you look at default apps, I can choose what I want the operating system to use. So for email, I have it use my Outlook. And for music player, this is the one that they put on there. But I can click on it and change it to Windows Media Player. So you can or you could download something else if you like something else, and then just make it the default. And that's what I did with the video player. Instead of using the app that came with Windows 10, I think it was this one, yeah, recommended by Windows 10, I went ahead and just put it on Media Player because I was having some issues. This worked better for me. You can also choose your default web browser. If you wanted to always go to Microsoft Edge, which is the new browser for Windows 10 instead of Internet Explorer, it's called Microsoft Edge. It's similar, but has a lot of new features. We'll talk about those in some of my other videos. And I've downloaded Firefox and Chrome also, because sometimes I use these for different situations. If you click on About, it tells you about your computer here. So you can see I have Windows 10, and it shows the RAM and what kind of operating system. So if you're downloading a program, you need to know if it's 32-bit or 64-bit. It'll tell you here. Okay, so that's about it for this video, and I look forward to seeing you all at the workshops. And if you can't go to the workshops, I'd like to see you look at some more of these videos. I'm going to be making lots of videos of a lot of different topics. I'm also going to be finishing the Windows 10 video series, which will be many different videos. So be sure and check back, and we'll do some more learning. Thank you, and we'll talk to you later.